That's what I tell the kids, right? Make sure you get the information. What you think about it, that's up to you. What you're going to do with it, that'll soon be up to you. But make sure you get it. See, there's nothing worse than being stupid. Nothing. I mean, being broke is bad, but being stupid is awful. And what's really bad is being broke and stupid, right? That's about the end of the world. I mean, there isn't anything much worse than that. Unless you're sick. Sick, broken, stupid. I mean, that is it, right? There's nowhere else to go. So make sure you get the information. It's key. You don't have to like it, but learn it.
Some of the smartest shit I ever heard.
And we are back. Welcome to episode 2 of the Philosophers. I'm your host, as always, Malachi Eggy, and with me, co-host Oscar Camano. And as always, sidekick in the back, Easy E, easy money, easy on the eyes, easy with the ladies. And we have a special guest joining us today, Mr. Joseph Williams. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are proud to present our first Words Over Cigars episode. Sit back, enjoy a couple of fine cigars, and talk a little business, talk a little philosophy. So Joseph is currently with the Uconn School of Business as a business advisor, and excited to share his story and just share a little bit about how he got started and how he's developed into the person he is today, and the programs that he's participating in and a part of today. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So to get us started off, why don't you kind of give us a brief rundown of what you're currently doing with Uconn and with their School of Business? You've been there now for
going on 6 years now.
6 years, okay. So tell us a little bit how you got started with them and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, day, I work with small businesses every single day, helping the citizens of Connecticut fulfill their dreams. One thing about this program called the Connecticut Small Business Development Center, there's actually 63 centers around the country. I think Congress allocates about $130 million to actually have the 1,000 business advisors throughout the country help small businesses. And it's housed through the Small Business Administration, the SBA. Each state has to match the federal dollars. Here in Connecticut, the Department of Economic and Community Development actually does that match. Governor Malloy thought fitting that the flagship university should actually house it. It should be held in the School of Business. So that's pretty much how we all got started. So almost 6 years ago, they hired a new state director. She hired all 12 of us. 5 of us are assigned to Chamber of Commerce. 5 sit at one of the campuses, and then we pretty much have 2 people that float. Well, 1 person that floats and 1 person actually does pre-venture. So I think last year we probably helped between debt and equity financing $50 million in the state's economy. We probably helped 2,200 to 2,400 businesses. I know this year's goal is to support 8,800 employee base here in the state of Connecticut, and probably touch about $57 million this year in actual debt and equity financing.
Now, are they focusing on certain kinds of businesses, or is it just open to any small business in the state?
Open to any small business. And it was funny, most people think, you think small business, you think also bodega. Well, no, small business to the federal government can be 1,000 employees. It can be capitalized as a small business.
Right.
So anyway, really, most business under 500 employees is what we tend to work with. We do work with some larger manufacturers here in the state. And some of the biotech sector. But for the most part, I could be talking to, a mom and pop one day and a nuclear science the next, and everything in between.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then what's the goal with that program? What are they trying to do to help these businesses? Is it more funding wise? Is it just resources and education?
It's a combination of everything, really. It's to help them start, for those budding entrepreneurs who just say, hey, tired of the rat race, I want to go live this dream. We're here to support them. And then you have those companies that say, hey, listen, I got 3 employees. I want to grow it to 10 employees. I need some capital, a few $100,000. You know, where do we get started? How do we write this business plan? What funders should we be going to? What should be my structure? But we look at a lot of different things. We have a lot of resources within my department. You know, we help with financial numbers, you know, with financial modeling that we do put together so people can go to the bank that you can't put together a balance sheet or income statement. Our department can. We look at companies already in business. I could take your profit and loss statement and really analyze it. We use something like a banking software for an industrial CFO to actually do that in one other program. We get into market research data using a program called IBIS World. So this is like a 17-page document really comparing anything you may like in your industry. Say I wanted to get into the cigar business. You know, we smoke cigars, so let's talk about cigar business. You know, I did a report last year on it, you know, 37 pages, but everything from demographics, who's doing what about lounges and things of that nature, what's really the trends, you know, and the sides of the business, right. You know, and that's for any business that we actually do that. So these are just a few things that we actually utilize here in the state of Connecticut to help. But I get involved in HR issues, you know, putting people on the internet, dealing with their websites and things of that nature, a lot of strategic planning. So every day is different for me. Right. You know, it's pretty much fun. I don't really consider this work. I get paid, you know, because when you're helping people, you know, it's a great reward.
What's interesting about the business world, I'm part of a small business. I run a marketing department for a local bathroom remodeling company. And one thing that I've come to find out through this job is just how a lot of businesses, you see they may have a brick or mortar, you know, they may have a large team, they may have been in business for many, many years, but they still have no idea what they're doing or what's going on. And, you know, it's been awesome working for my company because they are somebody who has all their ducks in a row. They're debt-free, you know, year-over-year growth. But we have so many businesses come in to learn from our business because they have no idea what they're doing. And they've been in business for twice as long or 3 times as long, but they're completely inept and they're swimming in debt. And so I'm sure there's absolutely a huge need for your services.
That's definitely a need. I mean, probably right now I'm working with 70 companies, you know, right now at any given time. And so what you really have to look at is, you know, you got those that have no business experience whatsoever. You have some people that maybe inherited the business, but they have no business background. You have those who are just trying to live the dream, you know, just have real raw passion and gut instinct, you know. And so how do you work with them? You know, it's a very diverse background in the state when you look at the different businesses in the state, but you have to look beyond, you know, the wants and really see the needs. And as a consultant or advisor to a small business, you're really looking at what they really need to succeed. And that's my job. And, you know, it's kind of twofold. Right. You know, some people should be in business, and there's some people that should not. Right. You know, and it's our job, especially when we're using taxpayer dollars and things of this nature at times, to look and see what's best. What's best for the individual and what's best for the state of Connecticut. So, right.
So Joe, I would like to go back and maybe start a little bit with, you know, obviously you went to school in University of Massachusetts Amherst and got your BA in political science, and then went over and got your MBA at the Southern Connecticut State University. And talk to us a little bit about, you know, when you're in school, when you were a younger man trying to start your way, what was the end goal? What, you know, what was your goal in mind? And
end goal was to graduate. Yeah. You know, going to the zoo, I say some of the best 4 years of my life was at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Yeah, a lot of lifetime friends, of course. You get to meet. You know, at the time, you know, that's where I met my ex-wife. At the university, you know, I didn't start out as a poli-sci major. I actually started out as a zoology major. I actually wanted to be a doctor originally. Nice. And then I found I didn't like the sight of blood. And so what I decided to do was do a trade-off. I was like, my parents have 6 kids, so I'm right in the middle. And 2 of my older brothers were already in college. And to help my parents pay for college, I joined the National Guard. And they asked me, you know, what do you want to do? What skill? What trade? I said, I want to be a combat medic. So I'll fulfill this medical dream just by being a medic. And so it helped me pay for school. And so when I came back, you know, my sophomore year, and I was like, wow, I'm going to try this zoology one more time. So I go to my medical training back in San Antonio. I come back. I'm getting ready to start my junior year, and I realized, this is not for me. I'll never forget, my advisor sat me down and says, Joe, these are 3 classes you're going to take. The grade you get the most is going to be your major. So I take a chemistry class, a psych class, and a political science class.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I get an A in political science. That became my major.
Gotcha.
Now, you said you were National Guard?
Yes.
Okay, so was that a ROTC program?
Army National Guard. I spent two years in the ROTC program at UMass, and then I spent 6 years in the Army National Guard.
Overall, how was your time in? Would you recommend that to young folks, or I have a little experience there? I was Air Force ROTC for.
Yeah, it's funny. I started with ROTC and junior ROTC in high school in Springfield, Mass. I was in Air Force junior ROTC. I was on the drum corps there because I knew how to play a couple instruments. And then when I transferred over to UMass, I started into ROTC. Did the 2 years. Didn't want to take a commission at the time because they couldn't promise me stateside service. They either had to go to Germany or Korea, and I didn't want to do either one.
Right.
So I ended up going to the Guard, doing my time there. Then Desert Storm broke out, so we were almost activated to go to Desert Storm. I just missed that because the war was so quick, but I was on my way. We actually were getting deployed at that time. And I say, I really want to go to corporate America. I'm not going to waste this degree. But to answer your question, do I recommend? I only recommend service for those who don't have discipline or they want to find their way. It is very shocking, though, to be a 17-year-old kid joining the military because that's real life. Them 9.5 weeks basic training, that's real. Somebody putting you in a gas chamber, going through an obstacle course. Yes, you come back different. I'll never forget the day I came back. My father says, at least I know one of my sons left a boy, but he's definitely a man.
Came back a man.
I always say boot camp is the most fun you never want to have again, right?
Absolutely. I'll never want to do it again.
Yeah.
So what I wish that on anyone now, I told my son, it's 2 things you can't do. You can't join the Peace Corps, and you can't join the service. Anything else you want to do, you can do.
Yeah.
Those are things I don't want you to do. It's just because I really understand the commitment level of it. Was it very good for me? Yes. Did it give me some discipline, some guidance? Yes. Did it help me be a better person, be more organized? Absolutely. Was I was in tip-top shape? Of course. It helped me academically because I was like, this is what full-time military is like. Well, guess what? I'll stay in school. So I took schooling a lot different, versus when you first get on campus, you're away from your parents, and you sometimes get caught up. Now coming in the service, you're very regimented. You have the discipline, but your mind you're thinking more of adult,
Right.
not adolescent, coming to be that adult. So it's definitely a different thing, So all my friends that ever experienced it, we can all agree that it made us better, it didn't make us worse.
Right.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
No, that's good, man. Now, would you say, Joe, looking back at your school experience and all that, because I had this conversation, one of my brothers, same thing, political science major.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he was gung-ho about it, graduated from Uconn, goes to the state capitol for a job a few years back. Mm-hmm. I think they offered him like $23,000, and he got back in his brand new Acura, and he said, "I can't pay my fucking car payment with this." Gets back in his car, drives back, says, "Mom, I'm going back to Uconn," and then goes get his master's degree and changes out to psychology and all that stuff. But looking back now, like you're doing business now, you're advising small businesses. You've gotten, pretty far from where you started. Looking back at it now, would you still go to school, or do you think you would tell young Joe, "Hey, man, let's just get into entrepreneurship and try to do our own thing and make it happen"?
No, I would definitely get my degree.
Okay.
A degree, I look at my BA and my MBA, those are fallbacks. No one can ever take it away from you. And it's something that it's always that ace in the hole. It's a door opener in many respects. You know what I mean? I told my kids that, listen, having your undergraduate degree to me is like a high school diploma. If you're not in a master's level or above, to really look at corporate America. But at the same time, there's a lot of great jobs in the trade fields, precision manufacturing, things of that nature. If I wanted to go work in UTC straight out of high school, I'd probably go try to work at Pratt & Whitney.
Right.
I want to do that side. Why? Because they make great money, and it's not like manufacturing of old. It's more of a clean type of environment. But for me, I wouldn't change anything, to be honest with you. The only thing I wish and I wish I did this when I first opened my first company right out of school, was I went into real estate sooner. That is my only downfall, that I wish someone taught me what I learned, later in life, 15 years out of school.
Right.
I wish I knew right coming out. I knew that I should go buy a multi-level family house first and foremost. Learning financing, learning the buying formulas. Really studying real estate like I studied for my degrees.
Right.
You and I would have a real different conversation right now.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
and one thing I think a lot of younger kids coming out of high school, going into graduation, I always challenge them to say, hey, you want to go to college, that makes sense. But how are you going to pay for it? Because I feel in today's day and age anyway that we have a lot of 22, 23, 24-year-olds who are starting their life $100,000 in debt, with a piece of paper that doesn't get them the job. I can, myself, many people I know, degrees, and I have a degree in criminal justice. I've never once been in the criminal justice field. There's a lot of people out there with degrees for something that they never get into and that they end up just paying a lot of money off of. Speak on a little bit on that. Obviously, for you.
Yeah, what's key. I run into a lot of students that we counsel at Uconn and things of this nature, and even other universities, even from community college all the way up, is that you really got to look at long term, not the short term. And I tell people this all the time. It's not about the degree you get. It's about the degree that you think you really want to do for a lifetime. You have to be passionate about whatever you do, right. Degree or non-degree. If you're not passionate about it, you're just not going to do it.
Right.
And everything should be synergistic to what you do every day. And it should be natural. If I was going to work in the garden, or I may want to get into the environmental studies. I like the outdoors. I can't sit behind a desk. That kind of student. Well, I'm not going to tell that student to be a communications major. Knowing they're never going to try to go into communications. That's not their bailiwick. And vice versa. Do I take an engineer and say you should be a psych major? Well, if that person likes engineering, mathematics, and science, maybe that's what they should do. You know what I mean? I think many times students go to school a little confused. Because high school is very general. College makes you pick something, right. Which most youth these days, we don't really know what we want. Right. I tell people, someone told me one day, he said, Joe, you're going to change your career 5 times before you get settled to where you want. Right. Now, I look at my whole career path. I said, every 3 to 5 years, I pretty much changed and did something else. Right. I try to keep it similar because it seemed like my mentors around me, I'll talk a little about that, kind of guided me. Right. But my decision was made up. I call poli-sci the degree of BS. But you have a good skill with that. What I also learned being a poli-sci major, I need to be a business minor. That if I look back, I would have either have been poli-sci as my minor and then majored in business administration or marketing or vice versa. Right. That's why I went to go back to get my MBA. Right. I looked at, I did an internship for Congressman Richie Neal when he was the mayor of Springfield. And the phone calls myself and some other interns to take, CEOs of Mass Mutual, this and that. We write recommendation letters and things of nature. And I'm like, whoa, when that phone rings, the mayor moves this way. Or when that phone rings, he moves in a different way. When that phone rings, whoa, there are major problems. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm learning that. But the politician is not really calling him. It's that business owner or that Joe Public citizen. Right. And they move. So I'm like, who really has the power? You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, politics is like the P implies, puppeteers, but who's controlling the strings? So I learned early on that, man, I want to be the guy with the string. Right. I don't want to be the puppet. Right. And I think most young people should realize that you never want to be the puppet. You may have to play as a puppet to learn to be the master, but at some point you want to master your own fate. Right.
So for someone like Ethan, who he's in his senior year of high school, what's a practical piece of advice for how to make that decision? Because like you said, a lot of kids are gonna just make the jump right to college. They don't take a gap year. They don't get into the real world. They just hop right into school, and they may waste that first 2 years doing a major that they hate. Is there a good way for them to
yes,
find
there
out
is.
what they like?
Remember, college is like this. You get time to declare your major. Usually you clear the major by your junior year. So your first couple years are your gen eds, where you should figure out, what do I really want to do? Forget what mom's telling me, forget what my pops is telling me. Because at the end of the day, if you go into $100,000 of debt and you realize, I hate this career path that I'm on, but it's too late to change. That's a problem. So what I tend to want a young person to do is to say, listen, let's look at the basics that you need to have. You need to know how to communicate. You need to learn a little bit about the world. You need to know a little about science and mathematics, and you need to know how to write. So those basics, what career in your mind are you going to tell yourself, what do I think I like to do every day? Do I want to work with people? Nah, I don't like people. Right. So guess what? Maybe I want to sit into a lab because I like to blow things up. You know what I mean? So I think more students should do more homework of their future. Right. Just don't go in there blind. Oh, no, I'm just going to pick this major. And you start sticking the major out. You should, as soon as every student that comes on campus should sit with their advisor, but to really tell their advisor, this is what I really want to do. But most of them say, I don't know what I want. Right. Then I have to go into interests. Well, what do you like? Right. You know what I mean? What motivates you? What, since you were a little boy or a little girl, did you always think about? If I could do anything, could I be a rocket scientist? Could I be a nuclear physicist? Do I just want to be an entertainer, athlete? What drives you? Right. Why do you get up every day, do what you do? That's kind of your passion. See, the confusion part is we don't look at what's in us internally. Right. We look at external factors. External factors never work. And so what you end up is doing, wasting years and time and a lot of money, versus looking at the inner self, the inner man, to come up with, why am I here? Right. How can I make a difference? What makes me happy? Live for you. Right. That's key.
Yeah, I had it's funny you say that. Just recently, actually, on LinkedIn, I posted on there and I said, man, there was a decision that I had that lingered around for 3 years, right? And I just wasn't sure yet, kind of, going into, late 20s into my 30s. And still kind of, hanging out, little partying, doing that kind of stuff. And for 3 years, man, I just avoided the fact of like, hey, let me just focus and let me just, put partying aside, put, the hanging out friendships aside. And it's crazy, man, because in that 3 years time, I created a lifestyle to still fit that selfish behavior, right? Mm-hmm. I just want to hang out, man. I just want to have a good time and still, make money and try to be successful and all that good stuff. And for that 3 years time, man, I got some success. And then literally like that month's period of making that decision, I saw the most success in that 4 or 5 weeks time than I did in 3 years, because it was just pure focus. Yeah. So I think that's definitely important, man. And being able to figure out and talk to people and say, hey, man, what it is that you like or what it is. And that's just the beginning, right? You're tapping into it, because a year later they'll say, hey, in that moment, man, my emotions were brewing up and it felt great. I don't fucking like doing this anymore. So now they can think for themselves and say, hey, what do I like, and learn that skill to do it themselves now.
You always get, I tell people this all the time, your network equals your net worth. Mm-hmm. So young people should take on two things. It's never too young to start building a network, but you always need mentors. Right. So if you can hurry up and get a mentor, that mentor will help guide and shape you a little bit. Right. And that's what we're really absent being young, because when we feel we don't know enough people, we don't have enough, influencers, right, or people that we know of some kind of net worth that we can cling to, but they're actually there. We just have to seek them out. Right. They're on campus, they're in your neighborhood, they're your neighbor. You just don't really know. If you're to query and ask how many young people know what their neighbors' parents do for a living. Right. They don't think about it. Yeah, we go to the barbecue, we hang out at the swimming pool in the summertime, blah, blah, blah. We're out there raking leaves and cutting grass, but I don't really know what you do. Right. You know what I mean? You could be doing what I want to do, right. But because I didn't ask, lost opportunity. You won't know. If we can just learn that earlier in life, the quicker we learn these basic principles. Older adults just says all the time, man, young man, what I'm telling you right now, if I can look back 15, 20 years, wow, I'll be rich. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now time has passed. I'm like, whoa, man, that person was right. Yeah. If I knew what I knew now back then, and I was willing to apply it through focus, the sky's the limit.
Now, what would you say to some young listeners out there, or even not even young, man? I honestly don't think when it comes to success. I mean, look at like Colonel Sanders for KFC. I read an article recently. The guy was like in his 60s or something like that when he finally blew up. He just didn't quit, and he's like, I'm gonna make some fried chicken. In his 60s, and it was fantastic. So now, what would you say to folks that are out there? Because I even had that period of my life where I was like, man, I want to do something. I just don't know what. I don't know who to ask. I don't know where to go. So what are maybe some resources here in Connecticut where folks can go and find a mentor, or look for a coach, or look for somebody that can help guide them? And I'm talking, aside from, college, maybe kids are in college now, but maybe like the local, young kid that's listening right now.
I'll give you a good example. Right in Harford County, you got the Young Professionals Group, 40 under 40. Group of, career-minded individuals sit around, get together, do different events.
Right.
But now you're dealing with peers that have mentors, looking for mentors, but you can bounce ideas off each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just one level. Right. For other people, they might join a Rotary Club. Some people that are in business, they may join a Chamber of Commerce, or somebody may volunteer for a nonprofit so they can meet other people on a board, for instance. So it really all depends. Really, it's open. It's as if when you're on campus, why did they ask you to join other groups, to meet other people? One of the biggest goals is to build your communication skills as a college student and to be diverse. Because that's really what America's about. Okay, I got to meet people that I probably would not talk to, but I'm here on this location, so I'm going to get to know that person. Here's the opportunity. In business, most times you don't know your customer. Right. So you have to get rid of the fear factor to say, something, I'm going to go ask this person for their business card. This is what happens in a lot of social functions. Right. I go to a lot of these business after hours, a lot of these after hour meetings and things of nature, and I'm looking at who works the room the best. Right. Some people have that goal in mind. I need to get 5 business cards, 5 contacts, people I don't talk to normally, but now I'm going to put them in my sphere of influence. When we looked at social media, everybody has Twitters, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, but what are you doing to maximize it? Right. I was just doing I was at a lunch and learn at the Chamber last week. An advisor guy came in just to talk about LinkedIn. What things you should have on your LinkedIn site. Right. You're supposed to have a banner in the background. You should have some kind of information there. You should have testimonials, recommendations on your site. But how many people just don't? I got a site up. Right, that you need to get past the 500 mark, to be a real influencer on the site. They don't really know that it's actually ranked. You know what I mean? And we take it for granted, but it's these little things that actually mean a lot. Right. Most jobs, once you send a resume or a cover letter in, what's the first thing you do? They go to the web and look you up. Right. You're living on the internet. That's just the age we live right now. And so young people can take advantage of a lot of things. They can just open a blog, just communicate. You got YouTube out here doing great things. The things you guys are doing. Right. You're reaching an audience that could be in China, for all you know, South America. Right. It's not just confined here in Connecticut or in the United States because of the internet. What a tool. We didn't have this, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but now you do.
Well, and taking that power of the internet and using it to build your network, to build business contacts, to build more than just, social media followers, which is the easy kind of way to do it. I got all these friends, or I got all whatever. I got this many likes on my, so many people walking around with their heads in their phones, but they're not using that.
Monetize it.
Exactly. Monetize.
Monetize it. It means nothing can't be monetized. Right. That's what business is about. I teach in this in an academy in New Haven. It's called New Haven Small Business Academy. Young entrepreneurs, usually about 20, 25, 30 people in a room for 11 weeks. Teach them how to write a business plan, teach them a little bit about mindset, a little about their entrepreneurial DNA. And the first thing I tell them is the definition of entrepreneurship. I said, what is an entrepreneur? I said, it's simple. I said, that's a person that looks at a problem, solves it, and then puts a dollar on it, whether it's a product or service. Yeah. Very simple. We're problem solvers for money. Right. Call it what it is. That's what entrepreneurs do. Yeah. If we can't make money, why are we doing it? If it's not solving a problem or for someone, either giving them a product that they want or a service that they may need, right, why be in business? It's one of the first things you should look at. Right. It's even when you look at careers. Well, if I'm going into a dead-end career, why should I go waste that $100,000 in education? You know, if I'm going into the art of frisbee throwing, why waste $200,000 going to a private school? Right. You know what I mean? But I know that we're an aging population in America. So why don't I go into some field in healthcare? Why not own my own healthcare agency? Or why not become a nurse? You know, women are just not nurses. There's a need for male nurses. Yep. Just like teachers. Teachers are some of the most underpaid individuals, but there's a great need. Why? Because they're the influencers of our future. Right. So it's an important thing. But it's now what level? Do I want to just teach secondary education, or do I want to do post-secondary education? You know, do I really want to be a professor? There's a difference of an instructor coming into the system making $35,000 a year than someone making $70,000 or higher a year, because that will dictate your standard of living. So these are the kind of choices, information that we all need and we need to share.
Absolutely. Now going back to the entrepreneurship, man, that's an awesome point you bring on there with just solving problems. And we had this conversation a while back with folks opening up business, because a lot of people think that, you know, in this day and age, they kind of have that old school mentality where you have to take out $100,000 loan to open a business.
Not at all. And,
you know, everything's so turnkey, especially with the internet, with social. I mean, everything's so turnkey. And literally, like, even with right now, I work with a company and they do water filtration. And it's pretty cool, man, because I got offered a partnership at the company, got into ownership with this company. So I'm 50% of the company, and they're operating. And I didn't put $1 down. Mm-hmm. You know what it was experience, and it was connecting the people that are making the machine, right? I had no fucking idea how to make a filtration machine. Like, you know what I mean? I just look at filters like, oh, that's cool, you know? Between that and a consumer and just gluing them together, and then you're a toll booth. You know, I'm charging for that product and that service, and then I'm charging that company for the consumer. You know, so it's kind of that double take on there.
Intellectual property is key. You know, knowledge is power. You know, I tell people all the time, there's one thing you can never get back. It's time. Time to me is more precious than money. So you must pay me for my time, because my time is worth more than money. Because money will always be able to be made and spent. Time is so precious because we'll never get it back. So that is the most valuable tool that anyone can have. IP, intellectual property. And so when you can evaluate yourself and show you what your true net worth is by your knowledge, that's why you own 50%. You had something they didn't have. And that's key of entrepreneur something. Once again, solving the problem, and then it's a price put on it. Right. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny, man, because it is. I mean, you can negotiate, and it's fantastic, man. And that's for everybody that's listening out there. I mean, whatever you're into, whatever you're, like Joe was saying, that drives you, you can legit target and find anyone that's already in that field and that needs your knowledge and needs your work ethic. I mean, they could be somebody at 60 says, man, I can't run around like this young guy. Well, this young guy can run around. You put a price on that running around, and then you build your way from there, Absolutely. Whatever the case may be. So that's awesome, man. That's good stuff right there with entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and on that note as well, you know, one thing that I always like to see with the younger audience and people who trying to figure out what they want to do in life is, rather than wasting your younger years while you're in school or while you're in high school doing some dead-end job that you hate, is actually taking the steps to get into a field that you enjoy doing and that is eventually going to help you learn the skills that you want to be good at later in life. I work with a young kid right now. He's 20 years old, and he's in school for business. And instead of just going and getting a job, wherever, Panera or down at the bookstore, he said, no, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find a job that I've never done before, but that's in the business marketing field. I'm going to push myself, and I'm going to become a top-end, producer, so that I can learn these practical skills. And it's actually funny because we sat down and had some conversations. He said, dude, I've learned more working here for you than I'm learning, in my business degree necessarily. So not, for people listening, and don't be afraid to go out there and try something that you've never done before.
My first company I owned when I was in my early 20s, private investigative security company. Yeah, I had a insurance background and dealing with claims and things of that nature, but I wasn't in the security field. You know what I mean? And going into it, you're dealing with employees, you're dealing with raising money, you're dealing with taxes, you're dealing with HR issues. I mean, I'm looking at the full gamut. I'll never forget my accountant sat with me one day, and he said, listen, for the times you slept in business class or whatever, or accounting, you're going to sit here with me because I got to teach you how to run a company. It's because someone has to be chief executive officer. So choose. And at the time, it was just myself and my business partner. And I got my MBA on the School of Hard Knocks. So when I got to B school, I was like, okay, this is nice. That's nice theory. I've already lived that. So it became easier for me. I'm just sitting in classes waiting on to collect my degree, basically. Because I was doing it on a daily basis already. I understood it. It wasn't new terms to me, and I carry that even to this day. Basic foundations, business structures, setting up LLCs or S or C corporations. What are the differences between the two? How do you pick a good accountant? How do you set up your back office? How do you pick good attorneys for what? It's the difference between a real estate attorney and an entertainment attorney, and you know what I mean? And a corporate attorney, things of that nature, which most entrepreneurs really have no clue.
Right.
When you talk about the 4 P's of marketing, they look at you, what is that? Pebbles, so what is it? So when I tell a young person, I said, listen, just get your feet wet. Jump in. Don't ever be afraid.
Right.
All right? It's like the question unasked. All right? No question is stupid. It's the one you didn't ask because you're never going to get the answer. So why set yourself up? You know what I mean? So what I encourage everyone that's listening out there in this audience today is go for your dream. It's never too late. It's never too early. If something that's burning desire that's in you, you should seek it out because you never know where you're going to get the answer. And the answer can come out of anywhere. Yeah. Total strangers, just happenstance. It's crazy sometimes. I just run into people and maybe something I just need that day. It's like, wow, this is big. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like how you want to ask how we met, hanging out. Right. You know what I mean? Didn't know you were doing the business. You didn't know what I did. Right. But now we find out, wow, we have something in common. We like cigars, but beyond that, we're entrepreneurs. Right. We can both help each other. Here's our network. Our sphere of influence is even growing. I don't know people you don't know people I know. Right. Now I met 2 more young men today. Now they come into the network, so it just continues to grow. Keeps growing. And what I always tell you, like in the beginning, your network will always equal your net worth.
Yeah, no, and that's huge, man. And funny that you bring that up because I met Joe at a cigar lounge that we both go to, and it's important to network. And I always tell people this, even like people that ask me, like, hey man, you've gotten to where you are today. I was like, it's networking. I took the other route. I didn't go to school, right? When I look back, people ask me, well, what would you do different? Well, I'd probably go to class in high school. I'd start there, and at least like my GPA was like fucking 0.7. It's like holy shit, all right. But it is because at an early age, man, I had a mentor and understanding of business. I loved business. I wanted to do business and make money that way. And at that time, I didn't see school assisting that. So I took the other route. I said, you know what, man, I'm going to go at it. I'm going to go at life head on. And building from there, man, it was a lot of networking, going to your local lounges, like the young people, like now, like I don't even like going to clubs anymore, right? Because I can't hear you. I want to talk, man, and it's like, hey, what do you do? What I mean? Like, I can't talk to you. So I don't do clubs, any of that stuff anymore. But it's like going to the lounges, that local bar. Sometimes you get these guys that you got to think about it, man. There's a lot of guys that resort to a drink of whiskey or something like that are doing business, are stressed out for the week, or are planning something, and you got this guy for a bar tab education. You cover a $40 bar tab, and this guy just taught you how to fucking get your business started for $40. Yeah, which is fantastic. So kind of going out there and networking and talking to people is so important. I remember being at the cigar lounge, and Joe's always, going out there looking fresh, man. Got the suits on, vibrant, man. I'm like, work. Yeah, man. And he's sitting there and he's happy and he's talking. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I gotta go talk to him. And then we finally had a conversation with our friend Fennell, and then went from there. But now it's like, wow, man. So Joe, works with small businesses, does all this. Dude, I run a small business. Now it's like, all right, so now we can help each other and then help other young folks here in Connecticut. So that's awesome, man. It's important. Go out there, talk to people.
Get off your damn phones.
Yeah, that's it. Communicate. That's it.
I saw something the other day. It said someday an entire generation is going to look from their phones and realize that the last 5 years passed them by. I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful, but it's true. And to your point, Oscar, the networking thing, that's something that I regret a lot, not doing more of when I was in school, not taking advantage of those advisors, not taking advantage of the professors, not taking advantage of people who I could have been networking with. So that's something that now later in my life I'm having to take advantage of and get better at. So you have to start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere. And you may be thinking, well, how do I do this, right? How do I get started? Well, just start talking to people anywhere you go, whether it's the gym, whether it's at your school, talking to professors. Don't be afraid of those people who are in a position, your boss, anybody that you can learn from. Those are people in your life that you can take advantage of and you can learn from, and don't be afraid to.
Yeah, talk, man. Be likable. That's important too, man. Be approachable.
Sell yourself first. That's the key. I look at, I know Derek Ferguson, who's Puffy's CFO at Bad Boy, right? I said, Derek, why does Puffy brand everything with his name? Because he is the brand. Yeah. He saves money, but he's the brand. Right. And it made sense. You look at business, people give money to people, one they like or they trust. People do business with people they like and who they trust. Right. So who's really the brand? Right. You, the individual. Right. And that's the key. So you're just a walking billboard. Get used to selling yourself. Yeah. That's key. I told my clients, listen, you got to have the elevator speech. The 30-second pitch. Right. Whatever it is, short, sweet, to the point. Before I leave, I should know who you are, what you're about. Right. So I'd want to give you my card so we can keep in touch. Right. That's the end goal. It's not to sell you on anything, product, service. It's an introduction to who, what, when, of who I am. Right. That's it. Yeah. And have we exchanged information? That's life.
And that goes back to being self-confident in who you are. Taking the steps every day to build yourself up personally so that you're not scared to talk to people, so that you're not embarrassed to talk to people. You're dressing sharp, having a business card, having a LinkedIn profile, all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people struggle just with the idea of, okay, I'm standing here, I want to talk to this person, but I don't know how, and I don't know what to do. Well, prepare, and you got to prepare yourself.
And if you're in school, you need to go take that speech writing class or that communications class that makes you stand up in front of people and talk.
Yeah. And public speaking, aside from natural fears, like the fear of loud noise, which is natural, right? If you hear a lot of time, we're all going to jump. That's just natural. Yeah. But fear of public speaking is top 3. Yeah. In there, man. And I've seen people, dude. I've seen people. Yeah, I've seen people break down like, dude, got the shakes. I'm like, holy shit, man.
Don't think everyone's nervous. You look at the presidents and things and CEOs. Don't think that sometimes they're not nervous going in front of doing a very important delivery on something. But it's something that's in them that just goes away immediately. Right. Ask any entertainer, athlete before they go and make that performance. It's more excitement. That I'm ready. It's like a horse in the stable. Right. The horse, they got to calm the horses down, but the horse is ready to go. Right. That's how you got to get when you want to go into public speaking. Even when you want to approach someone, you got an end goal in mind. Remember this: if you don't make that introduction to make that sale, you don't eat. Right. This is not 9 to 5. Right. You know what I mean? That's why people stay on 9 to 5, get my check every 2 weeks, every month, or whatever, weekly. An entrepreneur does not know. Right. We got to go out and get it. Right. And that's the key. If you're not willing to go out there on a daily grind, because this is not a 9 to 5. Right. This is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I tell people I want to make money when I sleep. Right. That's why I do residual businesses. Besides working on this in my state service, but my other companies, when I'm sleeping, I want to make $1. Right.
So that actually kind of leads into something I wanted to ask you, which is, outside of obviously your full-time job, which you're doing, I would assume generally throughout the week, how many other things you have going on? Give us some idea of maybe other businesses, or you're a busy guy. Yeah. What are you doing on a day-to-day and a weekend basis to keep things flowing?
Nights and weekends. I'm in my real estate redevelopment company. I've been flipping properties since 2006. Right now, I got 3 projects going right now. One in Mass, 2 down here in Connecticut that I'm working on. Just finished up my son's condo. And so I'm taking on a couple more new projects for the rest of the winter or the late fall. Other than that, I own a solar company with another of my partners, good attorney friend of mine, and we've owned that for a few years. And matter of fact, I spent 3 visits last year on a consulting contract in South Africa, working on solar, electrifying poor people in the country of South Africa. So I've been working on that, dealing with some panel companies and some other things. And I got a couple new interests that I'm trying to get involved into. I'm also Native American, as well. So my tribe is in Colorado right now. We're looking to purchase some land to get into cannabis. I'm the comptroller of my tribe. So we're trying to get into that and work with I want to work with CBD, which is hemp oil.
There's no money in that.
But I look at it for the really municipal purposes. That's why I really stress the CBD aspect of it. It's not about the THC, the high aspect of it. It's really more of the municipal properties that it actually, when this is something that's been ancient times, that's really proven to really help people, whether it's pain management, anxiety, depression. And so I really stress that, nutrition, health, anything around that, good water, clean water. I like helping people. It doesn't matter where it is, here or abroad, doesn't really matter. Money's secondary. I know that will naturally come. But I do things that interest me that are all synergistic. I don't change my lifestyle to go into a business. Right. I work at all these different businesses. It's easy for me to do real estate. I was taught it. I spent a lot of money to learn it. I buy by a certain formula, which most investors in this country know about. That we do. So if you don't know this formula, for those who are out there, I'm gonna give you a freebie right now. You need to know the Mayo formula. Anyone who wants to buy investment property in America, you need to know the Mayo formula. M-A-O, Mayo. Look it up. It's on the web, on the internet. I'll give it quickly. It's taking the after repair value of a property, say it's $200,000, take 70% of that, minus the repairs. The maximum allowable offer is the Mayo. That is the number one principle you will learn as a real estate investor. You heard it here. Free. So
there we go.
Boom.
Except for the 3 listeners that tuned out when they heard there's no THC in the cannabis. I'm turning the station off.
Oh well, you just missed out. A good jewel.
Yeah. That's why they'll always keep buying slices.
So to wrap us up here in the next 10, 12 minutes, Oscar, I think you had a little bit of an approach you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so we want to go into another segment, man, because a lot of, we like talking about the end result. And I think that as a society, a lot of the issues we have is that we glorify the result. But we don't talk about the work that it takes to get there, right? We glorify, you see like these rappers in the videos and they got the chains and the cars and the girls and the champagne. And then, everything is glorified to that end result. So Joe, taking it back, rewinding, Joe after college and getting into business, what are some obstacles that you faced, not only as being a young entrepreneur, but being a young Black businessman in a society where, even now, 2018, the country's roaring with all this racial tension and all that. So what would you say to folks out there that are facing or are in the same position as well, being, Black, Native American, Latino, getting into business? What are some challenges that you saw and how did you overcome them to be, to be one of the 1,000 participants in the entire country to deal, with small businesses?
Key number one that we all face starting a business is where's the money going to come from? Where's the capital going to come from? And I tell people, forget that you need capital first and foremost. Because many businesses don't start with $1. They start with an ideal and a dream. Right. So you must pursue that. Because if you're just chasing the money, the day the person says no at the bank, your dream and ideal dies with the denial letter. Right. So being young, I got used to saying, you telling me no. You need 3 years of this. You don't got enough taxes, that. I'm just like, okay, who said so? Oh, you don't believe it? Okay. Well, I'm going to put in the time. Okay. I'm going to go get this extra job. I'm going to go raise some money, maybe some family and friends or whoever, someone that's going to believe in my company. I started my security company. I started with $4,000 investment. Right. A year and a half later, I was doing $2 million of business. Okay. And I went to banks. No. Right. You guys can't do this. You don't know how to do this. Boom. I heard everything. It didn't matter to me. I believed in me. I believed in my partner. Every day we got up, we grind from the time we woke up to the time we went to sleep. You know, at that time, you guys are younger than me. We had pagers. Had a big old block. Had 2 block cell phones, pagers. You know, I didn't have a bag phone back then. So long ago it was. But I'll never forget, you know, going in and I was trying to raise $50,000 just to grow, go to my next office. I ended up having 3 offices, 110 people working for me, full and part-timers. And I had 11 Crown Victorias, 45 of my officers were 38 caliber. We had Miranda rights and everything, sent them to an academy, and we had police powers. So it became a big thing. But if I listened to the naysayers, I would have never even thought about it, you know? And I would encourage anyone, believe in you. Believe in that dream that it's like faith is things hoped for, but evidence of things not yet seen. If you can remember that one little scripture, it's going to take you leaps and bounds to wherever you want to go. That's really key. It really starts with the inner person that you got to believe. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to take you serious. When my clients come in, I look at their passion, knowing they may not have the education, knowing they may not even have the full background, but I say they have enough passion and they believe they really can do it. And if I look at it, it's a viable business in a certain industry, then I'm going to believe in it too. That means I'm going to give you the shot, or I'm going to give you the tools to succeed. So put yourself in the playing field. That's what's key. That's definitely what's key.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So best ways to find you, LinkedIn?
Best way to find me, you can LinkedIn. You can also go right to ctsbdc.com, which is the Connecticut Small Business Development Center.com, and look me up. We take anybody, person that just has an idea. We have something for you on the website called Pre-Venture. If you just started a business, need some money, some capital, just want to bounce some ideas, there's a link right there. It's free to you. This is your tax dollars at work. You know, we are free consultants on behalf of you. So take advantage. You know, I would just encourage you. You know, any young person out there wants some free mentorship, you can send me a link to my LinkedIn page, or you can go to the website, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
Absolutely. You guys can find him at Joseph W. Williams Jr. on LinkedIn. And then also I'm on LinkedIn at Malachi Eggy. Oscar's on LinkedIn as well. Yep. And for the pod, thanks for listening. We are live on Instagram. You can find us at idiot_philosophers. Same thing on Twitter. And until next week, everybody, it's been fun.
It's been great. Joe, appreciate you coming by, Dan.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.
Until next time. Peace.